Here we go. All right, so for today, it's we did a bunch of grading at the beginning of class, so it's going to be a really short lesson, but it's just a review. If I give you this function, f of x, everybody write it down, please, equals x squared plus 7, just ponder that for a minute. What does it look like? What shape is that thing? Starts with a P. Parabola. And it's been moved where? Up 7 or right 7? Up 7. It goes up. It's a parabola moved up 7. What's its domain? How far to the left, how far to the right does it go? Negative infinity, infinity. Could you say that faster as saying all reals? Yep. Okay, so that's got a domain of all reals, but now it doesn't because I just gave it an artificial domain of x has got to be greater than 5. We only want to ponder the numbers when x is 5 or bigger, but actually not 5. Bigger than 5. All right, now here's g of x. I'm going to use a different color. I think you should too. G of x is just 2x. You know what that looks like? It'd be a straight line, okay? And what if I said its domain was that x has to be less than 7? Do you get this could be graphed as a piecewise function? Nope. But I'm not going to make you graph that right now. What if I asked you what's g minus f of x? Everybody figure out what you think that is. Don't worry about the domain to start with. Just figure out what is it if I subtract those two in that order. Pause for a second while you give that one a shot. Would you please compare your answer with the person next to you? Okay, we've got people in groups there. Now we're going to take g, which is 2x, and subtract. I'm doing it wrong on purpose. Subtract x squared plus 7. What did I do wrong?
No parentheses.
No parentheses. And I only really subtracted the first part. I didn't subtract the 7. Okay, so then my final answer would be negative x squared plus 2x minus 7. Okay. Now, you'd think by looking at it that that has a domain of all reals. Do you agree that if you just look at your answer, you'd think the domain was all reals? But it's not. Because why? Because you take these two and you overlap them. Please humor me, and I know you could do it in your head, but make 2 number lines for those. Because in a moment, we're going to add a 3rd number line. So trust me, you don't want to just try to do this in your head. Okay, I'm guessing that you probably got this one figured out if it's bigger than 5, but less than 7, that it's the intersect would be between 5 and 7. Raise your hand if you add 5 to 7. Cool. That's how you do that kind. Now, I'm going to just tweak one thing. I'm going to go over here and change this part, and it's not going to be 2x anymore. It's going to be x minus 6. And I want you to tell me, does the domain change of this answer? The answer itself would have changed, but does the domain of this answer change? No, because you really only needed this and this. All right. But use the x minus 6 then for this next question. What is f of g of x? Make the f function eat the g function and see what you get. Again, please compare with the kid next to you once you're done. Simplify it too a little bit. Don't just like leave it rough. Multiply it all out and simplify it down. Okay, so the f function is the x squared plus 7, but I'm leaving it empty parentheses squared plus 7, and then I'm dropping in what it ate for lunch, which was x minus 6. And then you should multiply it out, and you get x squared minus 12x If you don't know how I did that, it's x minus 6 times x minus 6. And then you do FOIL. And then I go plus 36, but plus another 7. Isn't that plus 43, is it? Thank you. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. Now, what's its domain? Way harder. You now have to do a formula that I'm afraid half of you won't remember from yesterday. I'm going to remind you with not the whole thing, but I'll tell you the basics. You want to start with the domain of the, does anybody remember? Inside. And intersect with the, what, inside or outside one? Inside. It feels like it should be outside, but it's not. It's inside again. The inside function, when you put it in the domain of the outside. I'm going to pause for a minute while you and your partners together, instead of just like waiting till the end, talk to them about it. Like work together, because in a minute your Schoology quiz is working together with them. So work together. Let's see if you did it right. So the domain of the inside one was the g of x. You can tell because it's on the inside here. So the g of x domain is x is less than 7. So x is less than 7 gets intersected with the inside function, which is g of x. So it's x minus 6. But you take that and you put it into the domain of the outside, which is that one. So greater than 5. Did you get x is greater than 11 as one of your answers? And then did you get x is less than 7 as the other answer? And did you see where they intersected? Did you even look at it? Where do those intersect? This can't exist. It does not exist. It's a function that has no domain. If you can't put anything into it, then this thing doesn't really exist. Do you remember me saying that in honors pre-calc, a lot of times the answer is that there's no solution. But I can't give credit to a kid who doesn't get this far and like gets just stuck in the problem and then says no solution. You have to get to the end and be able to go, the reason there's no solution is, look, there's no intersect. So, all right. Okay, so do you get that if I change this to g, I'm not going to, but if I did change it to g of f of x, that'd be a completely different answer in a completely different domain. Because the formula would all be backwards. The inside one is now the f of x, and it'd be completely different. All right, but I'd like you to spend the rest of the time instead on that Schoology quiz. All right, so that's a review so far of what you kind of learned this chapter. Work on that Schoology quiz with the kids next to you. Like check on each problem to make sure you're getting the same thing. You know, be nice to each other. And then whatever you don't finish in class, that's your homework. And that's all I got for you for today.